Eastern State Penitentiary stands closed, but it is not empty. It sits in Philadelphia as a sealed record of how a prison ends. When the gates shut in 1971, the building is not cleared, cleaned, or carefully archived. It is abandoned. What remains inside is not a legend or a mystery. It is physical evidence. Cells hold objects where they were last used. Corridors show where that no one repairs. The prison does not disappear. It simply stops being managed. If stories like this matter to you, consider subscribing, because what happens next reveals how this system truly works. Eastern State opens in 1829 as a radical experiment. It is built on the principle of solitary confinement. Prisoners are isolated in single cells for nearly all hours of the day. The design is intentional. Each cell has thick walls, a single door, and a narrow exercise yard attached. The system is meant to produce reflection and reform. Over time, it produces something else. Psychological breakdown becomes common. By the mid-19th century, critics already document mental collapse among inmates. Yet the structure remains, and the prison expands. When Eastern State finally closes in January 1971, it is no longer modern or efficient. New correctional facilities replace it. Officials move inmates out quickly. There is no long-term plan for the building. The prison is locked and left. Years pass before serious preservation begins. In that time, weather, time, and neglect act freely. Walking through the abandoned cell blocks reveals how abruptly daily life ends. Beds remain bolted to the floor. Some cells contain rusted chamber pots. Others hold remnants of clothing. Shoes lie beneath bunks. Metal fixtures corrode where moisture enters through cracked ceilings. Paint peels in long sheets, exposing earlier layers beneath. These are not displays. They are leftovers. Graffiti marks many walls. Inmates scratch names, dates, and short phrases into plaster. Some markings are religious. Others are warnings or complaints. Many are simple records of existence. They show who lived there and when. No interpretation is needed. The marks are direct. They remain because no one erases them. Administrative spaces tell a different story. Filing cabinets stand open or collapsed. Paper records scatter across floors. Some documents list inmate names and numbers. Others track work assignments or disciplinary actions. In medical areas, examination rooms still hold equipment. Cabinets contain outdated supplies. These rooms show how the institution functioned internally. They also show how quickly it was left behind. The hospital wing records the physical cost of confinement. Eastern State treats injuries, illness, and psychological crises on site. The wards are small and utilitarian. Beds line the walls. Equipment reflects decades of incremental updates rather than modernization. After closure, these spaces decay faster than others. Plumbing fails. Water damage spreads. The hospital becomes a map of neglect layered over care that once existed. Isolation cells remain the core of the prison. Each one is nearly identical. Heavy doors block sound and light. A small skylight, known as the Eye of God, allows limited daylight. Prisoners once spend most of their sentence inside these walls. When the prison closes, these cells are left as they are. They hold the clearest record of the system's intent. Silence. Separation. Control. Punishment devices remain in storage areas and forgotten corners. These include restraint chairs and other tools used for discipline. They are not hidden away for display. They are simply not removed. Their presence shows that punishment is not an abstract policy. It is mechanical. It requires objects. Those objects persist after authority leaves. Decay accelerates because abandonment invites it. Roofs leak. Freeze-thaw cycles crack stone and brick. Vegetation pushes through walkways. Iron bars rust and expand, breaking surrounding masonry. No one stops the process. The building records time through damage. This is not sudden destruction. It is slow erosion. Eastern State is not demolished because demolition costs money. Preservation also costs money. For years, neither option is chosen. The prison sits unused. During this period, the structure holds onto its contents by default. This is how evidence survives. Not through intention, but through inaction. The prison's design itself contributes to preservation. Thick walls protect interior spaces from complete collapse. Narrow windows limit exposure. The radial layout isolates damage. One cell block can decay while another remains relatively intact. This uneven deterioration provides a timeline. It shows which systems fail first and which endure. Personal belongings are the most immediate reminders of human presence. Some cells contain toothbrushes. Others hold handwritten notes. These items are small and ordinary. They are not symbolic. They are functional objects that outlast their owner's confinement. Their survival contrasts with the absence of the people who used them. Eastern State's abandonment exposes how institutions end relationships with inmates. When the prison closes, no formal closure exists for those who live there. Their records move to new facilities. Their bodies move. Their memories remain unaddressed. The building holds what the system does not carry forward. The shift away from Eastern State reflects broader changes in American corrections. Solitary confinement falls out of favor as a primary model, though it never disappears. Large, centralized prisons replace older structures. Efficiency replaces moral reform as the stated goal. Eastern State becomes obsolete not because its outcomes are resolved, but because its architecture no longer fits new systems. Inside the prison, workspaces show how labor structures once operate. Shoe shops, weaving rooms, and workshops still contain tools. These areas illustrate how incarceration includes economic function. Prison labor supports the institution. When the prison shuts down, the labor stops instantly. Tools remain unused, marking the abrupt end of production. The chapel stands largely intact. Pews face a central pulpit. Religious instruction is part of the reform model. The space reflects authority and order. After abandonment, dust accumulates, and wood warps. The function disappears, but the arrangement stays readable. Eastern State's punishment records reveal how control is documented. Logbooks track infractions and responses. These documents are not hidden. They sit where clerks leave them. The system records itself thoroughly, then abandons the records when they are no longer operationally necessary. The prison's outer walls remain imposing. Inside, however, vulnerability shows. Ceilings collapse in places. Floors buckle. The contrast reveals how containment does not equal permanence. Control requires maintenance. Without it, even fortified structures fail. In some cells, calendars remain on walls, marking dates long past. They stop abruptly. Days are crossed off until the routine ends. These calendars show how inmates measure time when movement is restricted. When the prison closes, timekeeping loses meaning. The calendar remains, but time no longer applies. Eastern State also contains spaces rarely seen by inmates. Guard stations, offices, and storage rooms reveal institutional priorities. These areas are often better constructed and more spacious. Their abandonment highlights hierarchy. The system leaves everything behind, but it leaves unequal spaces behind. The prison's library holds damaged books and shelves. Reading is part of reform ideology. Knowledge is permitted but controlled. After closure, books decay like everything else. Their presence shows what forms of self-improvement are sanctioned within confinement. The exterior exercise yards attached to individual cells fill with debris. Leaves and dirt accumulate. These yards once provide the only outdoor access for many inmates. Their small size underscores the limits of freedom offered. After abandonment, nature reclaims them without restriction. Eastern State's decay is documented over decades by historians and preservationists. Photographs capture changes. Reports describe structural instability. These records confirm what the building shows directly. Abandonment does not freeze time. It exposes it. When the site eventually opens to the public, curators face a choice: restore or conserve decay. They choose stabilization. The goal is not to return the prison to operation, but to prevent total loss. What remains is what abandonment allows to survive. This survival forces confrontation with the material reality of incarceration. Policies change. Language shifts. Buildings remain. Eastern State holds physical proof of practices that continue in modified forms elsewhere. Solitary confinement does not end with the prison. It moves. Medical logs show repeated treatment for mental distress. These entries are clinical. They do not speculate. They record symptoms and responses. Their accumulation over years demonstrates patterns without commentary. The evidence speaks through repetition. Eastern State's administrative correspondence reveals financial strain near the end. Maintenance costs rise. Overcrowding increases. The structure cannot adapt easily. Closure becomes a logistical decision. The human cost is not part of the calculation. The building reflects that omission. The prison's abandonment also exposes how memory is managed. Without a narrative, decay becomes the story. Visitors interpret what they see based on objects left behind. This interpretation is grounded in material fact, not myth. Eastern State is not unique in closing, but it is rare in what it retains. Many prisons are cleared, renovated, or destroyed. This one is paused. That pause allows observation of how systems end without resolution. The silence inside the cell blocks is not theatrical. It is practical. Sound does not carry well through thick stone. This silence once enforces isolation. After abandonment, it simply exists. It does not signify fear or mystery. It signifies absence. Structural damage highlights design flaws. Drainage systems fail. Electrical wiring deteriorates. These failures show how long-term confinement relies on constant upkeep. Without it, the structure cannot function safely. Eastern State's remaining objects form an inventory of confinement. Beds, doors, locks, records, medical tools. Each item corresponds to a function. Together, they reconstruct daily life without narration. The prison's end does not include accountability. No final assessment of outcomes occurs. No formal acknowledgement of harm is built into closure. The building holds what the system does not address. Today, Eastern State stands as evidence rather than argument. It does not claim reform or failure. It shows process, construction, operation, abandonment, decay. These stages are visible and sequential. The prison's continued existence challenges narratives that move forward without looking back. It interrupts progress by presenting physical continuity. The walls do not forget. What is left behind at Eastern State is not accidental. It is the result of decisions to move on without dismantling. The prison remains because it is easier to leave than to confront. This is what abandonment documents. Not ghosts. Not myths. Systems that end without closure leave material truth behind. Eastern State preserves that truth by being left alone. If you think this story was intense, the next one will leave you speechless. Subscribe for more true crime stories that'll keep you on the edge of your seat.